All right, everybody, I have done about 20 reasons why you do not want to move to North Georgia, but you keep telling me that these are reasons why you actually want to move to North Georgia. My evil plot has succeeded. We talked about guns, politics, rural living, fried food, weather, allergies, friendly people, college fans, southern accents, real estate prices being too high, terrible internet, UGA football fans, zoning laws, lack of HOAs, fewer hospitals, unpredictable weather, humidity, house damage from trees, land, and few available homes for sale, but you're still interested. So I decided, why don't we just make a part 3 and give you 10 more reasons why you do not want to move to North Georgia. So I totally understand that everything is up to opinion and your own personal preference. Some of these reasons are a perfect reason for you to move to North Georgia, and some are reasons why you would just want to stay away. I have a lot of clients that move in from all over the country, and I wanted to just give them the worst of the worst, I guess, or just give them the reality of what it's like living up here. Some of these I just say joking, things about like the weather and the stuff like that. It's not that big of a deal, but I really do want to give you just some accurate information because you're from a different part of the country. You have no idea what to expect. And these are actually some things that some of my clients were surprised by, to be honest. With all that being said, I did decide to make another video of 10 reasons why you would not want to move to North Georgia. Hey everybody, my name is Tim Gibson and I am a realtor in North Georgia. And you might have guessed it, my channel is all about living in North Georgia. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date with all the videos that we're putting out weekly. Of course, if you're thinking about moving out, please reach out. My contact info is on the screen. I'd be happy to help. And without further ado, let's jump into 10 more reasons, number 21 through 30, why you would not want to move to North Georgia. The unofficial state bird of Georgia, this is kind of a running joke, is the mosquito. I grew up in Florida and mosquitoes were a reality there. In Georgia and North Georgia specifically, they're just as much of a reality. There's water everywhere, there's rivers, there's ponds and everything, so there's just plenty of breeding ground for mosquitoes. And in the summertime, especially the late summertime, when it's about 90 degrees and 90% humidity, you also gotta fight off the mosquitoes, and good Lord, do they just eat you alive. So if you are thinking of moving to North Georgia, bring your bug spray, bring your citronella candles, bring anything you think might help you, because as soon as you walk out the door during mosquito season, the summertime, you're gonna get attacked. This whole part 1 of this video is gonna be not only mosquitoes, but other insects that sting. When I was a kid growing up in Florida, I had no idea what yellow jackets were. So when I had my cool Star Wars shoes on and I was walking around the backyard thinking I was a cool guy, I saw a hole in the ground and I thought it was spiders. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna step on this hole full of spiders. Little did I know that that was gonna be my first introduction to yellow jackets. The entire nest flew out of the ground and stung me all over my legs, and I'm still traumatized to this day. Yellow jackets are very prevalent in North Georgia. If you're out there cutting the grass or you're out in the yard and you happen to step on a yellow jacket nest, just watch out, run for your life, because they will come after you. Another thing I want to mention, other stinging insects that can also attack you, there's wasps, there's bees, but wasps in general, I'm gonna see if I can put a picture on the screen if I still have it. I was walking on my back deck going down the stairs, and under the railing of the stairs, I didn't realize it, but there was a wasp nest and my hand brushed against it when I was walking past. And the wasps didn't take too kindly to that. They flew out, stung me on the hand, and as you can see on the picture right here, my hand ballooned up to about double the normal size. So make sure to watch out for wasps, yellow jackets. Gosh, I think we have hornets too. I mean, it's gonna sound like just a hellscape of wild, crazy insects that are gonna attack you. They're really not that bad, of course. You know, most of the time they're gonna keep to themselves, but if you mess with them or if you surprise them, just watch out. All right, number 2, limited options for shopping and dining. Very descriptive, but also true. People want to move to places in North Georgia because of the slower pace of life and all that stuff. Instead of Target and like a Trader Joe's or something like that on every corner, you will have a Dollar General on every corner. You'll also have a Walmart just about on every corner, but you're not gonna have some of those typical retail places like you would in other parts of the country, especially the suburbs and the cities. So be prepared to drive if you want to go to Target or someplace like that. Also, we do have a lot of chains in North Georgia, and of course, North North Georgia is massive, so I can't just give you the specifics on every single town in one video. But for the most part, you're gonna have local mom and pop restaurants, which is good for the most part, and some people love that stuff, which I do too. Just expect a lot of chains in North Georgia, really. You know, you got your McDonald's, your Chick-fil-A's, your Taco Bells and stuff like that. You also have some like Chili's and Applebee's. Then you do have some local restaurants. Each town's gonna be different, of course, but just keep in mind that you're not gonna have just a wide variety of options like you would closer to Atlanta or suburbs. All right, number 3 is limited nightlife. Now, I'm kind of old. I got 3 kids. I don't really get out a whole lot. Probably gonna be falling asleep on the couch at 9 o'clock most nights anyways. But if you're trying to go out, go to the bars and look for a party scene, or you're a little younger, or if you're older and you wanna do that stuff, it's just not gonna be that type of scene anywhere in North Georgia for the most part. Now, there are a lot of wineries in North Georgia. There are a lot of breweries. There are places to go, but as far as like what you could expect in a city like Atlanta or some other larger city where there's just bar scene or like a bar district or something, most of these towns don't have that. All right, number 4 reason why you would not want to move to North Georgia is a slower pace of life. You might be thinking, well, that is the exact reason why I want to move to North Georgia. I want to get away from all the craziness. I want to get into the mountains and I want to get to a slower pace of life. Yeah, so there are lots of events that happen in North Georgia depending on where you live. There's lots of things going on the weekends, especially. The fall is a big time. Christmas time is a big time in North Georgia. But if you live in one of these locations, a lot of times you don't want to be around some of the crowds of tourists that come up from Atlanta and other areas. Or you may be thinking, hey, I want to go hiking, I want to go hunting, I want to go fly fishing on the river. All those things are more common up here, especially day to day. A lot of those activities are more common in North Georgia, and hey, if that's what you're looking for, then come on up. But if you want just the hustle and bustle and stuff going on all the time, then maybe it's not for you. It's not to say that in North Georgia, you're just sitting on a rocking chair on your front porch, looking at nothingness, sipping on a sweet tea every single day. But each town has got its own set of scheduled events, and there's lots of stuff happening on the square in Dahlonega, for instance, LJ, places like that. We do have stuff going on, but it's just not the same as the types of things that are going on in a bigger city. So just be prepared for that. If that's something you are looking for, then North Georgia might be the place for you. All right, number 5 is limited job opportunities. Naturally, there's not a ton of industry in North Georgia. Now, that's a very large generalization. So yes, there are parts of North Georgia that have a lot of industry. If you work some type of office job and you work for a company, most of the companies, of course, are going to be close down to Atlanta. Some have spread out to the suburbs a little bit, but if you don't have the ability to work from home, count on a commute. So with a commute down to Atlanta or somewhere north of Atlanta, expect traffic. There's always traffic, no matter when you leave, just about. So just think about that. Like if you need a job locally and it's a very specific type of job, you may not be able to find that in North Georgia. Of course, every place is different, but for the most part, lots of your jobs and industry is gonna be down there closer to Atlanta. And depending on where you live in North Georgia or where you choose to live, you could be an hour to an hour and a half, almost 2 hours away from Atlanta. And just my personal experience from living in North Georgia, I enjoy, of course, the slower pace of life. I enjoy living in North Georgia, but I had a job, I was in the music industry, and it required me to travel to the airport just about every weekend. And so I'd have to make that drive, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes without traffic to get to the airport from where I live. And it just became a part of my life, but that can be a little bit of a grind trying to get down to the airport. And that's gonna lead me to number 6, which is the distance to the airport. Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport is one of the biggest airports in the world. I think it's the busiest airport in the world, and it is south of Atlanta. If you want to live in North Georgia, there are some major highways that lead out to North Georgia. Georgia 400 is one of them. Interstate 75 and 575 are on the west side, and then on the east side you have Interstate 85 and 985. Okay, so if you decide to live in North Georgia and you have to commute to the airport weekly, then be prepared for an hour minimum drive without traffic to get to the airport, since it's on the south side of Atlanta. For me personally, I would travel Thursday to Monday, and we would almost always take an early flight out on Thursday. So if you're leaving before 6 a.m., say, on a Thursday morning, you would probably beat traffic to get down to the airport. But if you have a flight that leaves at like 10 a.m. or 10:30 and you're fighting that 9 a.m. rush hour traffic, I would either leave at like 5 a.m., which is total typical dad move, or get a hotel, because it's just so bad to get down there. And if it, let's say my flight left at like 9 o'clock, then I would leave the house at probably 5 so I can beat traffic. Because for me, I would much rather just sit at the airport with an extra hour to kill or whatever than just be sitting in traffic, because one slowdown, one broken down car, one fender bender is really gonna cause traffic to back up just for, it could be an hour or more. And from where I live, there's really only one way to get down there, Georgia 400, but you could take 285, which kind of loops around the city. Oftentimes that's even slower. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about moving to North Georgia and you do need to get to the airport, it could be a haul, and just expect it to be, really. All right, so number 7, we're going to talk about sewage. Yeah. Specifically, we're gonna talk about septic tanks, and then for drinking water, we're gonna talk about wells. If you are used to living in a place, suburban, or if you're used to living in a city, and you're used to city plumbing and water, it just happens, seems like. You just have water and you have sewage, you don't even think about it, you pay for it. But almost every house in North Georgia, especially if it's any distance away from a town center, is going to be on a septic tank. And not to bore you with the details, but a septic tank is basically just a giant concrete box that holds everything. When you flush it down the toilet, it goes into that box. And you do need to pump out a septic tank every few years, of course, depending on how many people live in the house and how many people are using the bathroom. But that is a reality, and that's something to think about. A lot of people have contacted me about moving to North Georgia, buying land and building. That is great. That's an awesome thing. A lot of people do that, but make sure that you have what's called a perk test done on your property before you decide to buy it. Because if a piece of property doesn't pass a perk test, that means the soils aren't conducive to hold a septic system, which means you can't build a house on that property. You basically just have a piece of dirt that you can go play around on, take some four-wheelers, go camping or whatever, but you can't build a house on it. Another thing to think about is digging a well. That is an additional cost if you're buying some property in North Georgia. Your water source is almost always going to come from a well. Some people love well water, some people do not like well water, but keep that in mind, because the city infrastructure, you know, especially if you're 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes outside of town, you're just not going to have city plumbing for the most part. Number 8 kind of goes along with number 7. It's going to be a lack of infrastructure in North Georgia. And really, if you're going to be living in a rural area anywhere in the country, you can expect not to have massive infrastructure. But specifically, I just want to touch on a couple things. One is, if you come from a place that has great public transportation, do not expect that in North Georgia. I'll just get that right out of the way. A lot of windy roads, a lot of 2-lane roads, things like that. There's not really a lot of traffic in North Georgia, but like I mentioned a second ago, septic and well systems are to be expected in most of North Georgia for your house. I know I've harped on this a lot, and it's probably because I've just lived this way. I know I mentioned this a lot in some of my other videos, but it really is true. The lack of internet connection in places can be very, very bad. You know, I've lived in North Georgia for about 20 years or so, and I've actually contacted my senator about how bad the internet is, at least in my specific area. Some places have great internet, don't get me wrong, but where I live, internet's terrible. If you're trying to run a business or if you work from home, having a good internet connection is just, you have to have it. If I go down to a coffee shop that's closer into town or something like that, and I get a good internet connection, it's like, wow, this is how the rest of the world lives. This is amazing. I feel like I'm in an internet black hole sometimes, like I'm living in medieval times or something. But yeah, I mean, that is a reality. Just slow internet. Just check on that before you buy a place in North Georgia if you need good internet. I know I've said it a lot, but if you are moving to North Georgia and you need a good internet connection, make sure to check it out, because a slow connection is a very real possibility for you. Like I mentioned, and probably a lot of my other videos, I mean, it's rural life. Some of these counties are less than 50,000 people. Probably most of them are less than 50,000 people in the whole county. Small town America, it's Appalachian Mountains. Some places there's not a whole lot going on, and that may be exactly what you're looking for, but it's rural life. It's not like city life. It's not even suburban life. That's why I love living in North Georgia, is the rural life. But you know, if you don't want that and you're not ready for that, then, you know, of course, North Georgia might not be a place for you. Number 9, I'm just gonna call it sparse police and fire departments. You know, it's probably not like it is out west where you just have these wide open spaces and you have like 5 police officers for like 1,000 square miles or something like that. You know, it's probably a little better than some places out west. If you live in some place, you live on top of a mountain somewhere and you know, your closest police station or fire station is 30 minutes away, that's something to consider for sure. And that actually could lead into number 10, which is higher insurance costs, homeowners insurance specifically. I was just talking to a friend about homeowners insurance rates. He was saying actually the further away you are from a fire station, the higher your rate can be. Of course, I can't make any promises. I'm not an insurance agent, but I have heard that your insurance rates can be a little higher if you are further away from a fire station. That seems to make sense because house is on fire, you call the fire department, they can't get there for 15 minutes, then you're gonna lose a lot of your property. Keep that in mind if you're wanting to move to North Georgia, and if it's important to be close to a fire station, you know, check it out on Google Maps. Find a place that's close to a fire station, you'll be okay there. All right, now that we have given you 30 reasons not to move to North Georgia, if you're still thinking about it, please give me a call. My contact info is on the screen. I'd be more than happy to help. What'd you think about the video? Leave me some comments. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I feel like if I gave you 30 things, 30 reasons not to move to North Georgia, I feel like that should be enough of a list, but you might think of some other reasons. Of course, please check out my other videos. I've got tons of videos on North Georgia. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.